mandibles. He stopped and picked up a shard of flint, throwing it with an oath. Another damned infernal land prawn. He detested land prawns. They were horrible things, which of course wasn't their fault. More to the point, they were destructive. They got into things at camp. They would try to eat anything. They crawled into machinery, possibly finding the lubrication tasty, and caused jams. They cut into electrical insulation, and they got into his bedding and bit, or rather pinched, painfully. Nobody loved a land prawn, not even another land prawn. This one dodged the thrown flint, scuttled off a few feet, and turned, waving its antennae in what looked like derision. Jack reached for his hip again, then checked the motion. Pistol cartridges cost like crazy. They weren't to be wasted in fits of childish pique. Then he reflected that no cartridge fired at a target is really wasted, and that he hadn't done any shooting recently. Stooping again, he picked up another stone and tossed it a foot short and to the left of the prawn. As soon as it was out of his fingers, his hand went for the butt of the long automatic. It was out and the safety off before the flint landed. As the prawn fled, he fired from the hip. The quasi-crustacean disintegrated. He nodded pleasantly. Old man Holloway is still hitting things he shoots at. Was a time not so long ago when he took his abilities for granted. Now he was getting old enough to have to verify them. He thumbed on the safety and holstered the pistol, then picked up the glove and put it on again. Never saw so blasted many land prawns as this summer. It'd been bad last year, but nothing like this. Even the old-timers who'd been on Zarathustra since the first colonization said so. There'd be some simple explanation, of course, something that would amaze him at his own obtuseness for not having seen it at once. Maybe the abnormally dry weather had something to do with it, or increase of something they ate, or decrease of natural enemies. He'd heard that land prawns had no natural enemies. He questioned that. Something killed them. He'd seen crushed prawn shells, some of them close to his camp. Maybe stamped on by something with hooves and then picked clean by insects. He'd ask Ben Rainsford. Ben ought to know. Half an hour later, the scanner gave him another interruption pattern. He laid it aside and took up the small vibrohammer. This time it was a large bean, light pink in colour. He separated it from its matrix of flint and rubbed it, and instantly it began glowing. Ah, this is something like it now. He rubbed harder, warmed further on his pipe bowl. It fairly blazed. Better than 1,000 sols, he told himself. Good colour, too. Getting his gloves off, he drew out the little leather bag from under his shirt, loosening the drawstrings by which it hung around his neck. There were 12.5 stones inside, all bright as live coals. He looked at them for a moment and dropped the new sunstone in among them, chuckling happily. Victor Grego, listening to his own recorded voice, rubbed the sunstone on his left finger with the heel of his right palm and watched it brighten. There was, he noticed, a boastful ring to his voice, not the suave, unemphatic tone considered proper on a message tape. Well, if anybody wondered why, when they played that tape off 6 months from now in Johannesburg on Terra, they could look in the cargo holds of the ship that had brought it across 500 light-years of space. Ingots of gold and platinum and gadolinium, furs and biochemicals and brandy, perfumes that defied synthetic imitation, hardwoods no plastic could copy, spices, and a steel coffer full of sunstones. Almost all luxury goods, the only really dependable commodities in interstellar trade. And he had spoken of other things. Veldbeest meat, up 7% from last month, 20% from last year, still in demand on a dozen planets unable to produce Terran-type foodstuffs. Grain, leather, lumber. And he had added a dozen more items to the lengthening list of what Zarathustra could now produce in adequate quantities and no longer needed to import. Not fishhooks and boot buckles either, blasting explosives and propellants, contragravity field generator parts, power tools, pharmaceuticals, synthetic textiles. The company didn't need to carry Zarathustra any more. Zarathustra could carry the company and itself. 15 years ago, when the Zarathustra Company had sent him here, there had been a cluster of log and prefab huts beside an improvised landing field, almost exactly where this skyscraper now stood. Today, Mallory's port was a city of 70,000. In all, the planet had a population of nearly 1 million, and it was still growing. There were steel mills and chemical plants and reaction plants and machine works.